Congratulations. Congratulations. You have made the jump. So I'm feeling like this energy of you have made it to the other side. So you have made this leap, this timeline jump, and you're there. And I'm hearing it doesn't feel like it thought it was going to feel like. Okay. And oftentimes I have to acknowledge that that's usually true. We don't really feel things the way we think we're going to feel them, or experience things the way that we think we're going to. And it definitely feels like in this energy, you're recognizing and acknowledging that you don't feel the way that you thought you were going to with this shift. But what I have noticed with this shift is there's this eerie calmness that is very present with this shift. And it does feel like it's a little bit uncomfortable. So I'm seeing somebody like stumbling over themselves within this in some ways, because it feels like there was this deep shedding that just happened. And things that have bothered you for a very long time, or that you've had a hard time coming to terms with, or you've had a hard time accepting, were really something that invaded your mind space and invaded, a lot of your time and energy. And it feels like this is what has just fallen off. It's gone, never to return again. But it does feel like there's a discomfort in this, because there's this feeling of kind of being used to it, or it being normal for you in some ways. And so you're definitely taking note that this feels weird, because you've never been able to just kind of put things aside in the way that you're putting things aside at this point in time. And it feels like it happened for you. And though it also feels like it's happening to you. And so it definitely feels like you have a lot of energy that's kind of resurfacing back to yourself. So there's definitely this like recalibration that's happening within this. There was this deep release, and then things have to reorganize and resort themselves out. And it feels like the deep release came from a very subconscious, something subconsciously was completely released. Like I'm seeing something like a flower being pulled out and the roots being pulled out with it. Like it feels like something was completely derooted. And this derooting, that's what I'm going to call it, is kind of where the uncomfortability is coming in, because what's left is just space. It's just time. It's just silence. And that's where I think the uncomfortability is within this shift. And so even though it feels good not to be stuck in cycles around thinking about that thing, or over giving to that thing, or giving your energy to that thing, it definitely feels a little bit uncomfortable, because it's kind of like, well, now what? Now what do I do with all the energy that's coming back towards me? And what I'm hearing is pause, wait, hold up. Right now is about recalibration. Right now is about grounding within to this new identity, within to this new timeline. And what you're being called to do right now is get comfortable in here and just pause. So even though energy is coming back towards you, it doesn't feel like you're feeling energetic exactly. There is like a shifting of energy that's happening, right? But I don't feel like you're feeling like energized, if that makes sense. I just saw the Energizer Bunny, and he's like moving very slowly, and like then he just dies. And so don't misconstrue this shift as a place to full throttle it, to full force forward. Like this is a space where you need to ground this energy, and you need to really rest and let things reorganize and recalibrate. So if you've felt called to reorganize your space lately, or you've been feeling called to do like a deep cleaning, or you've been feeling called to kind of switch things up a little bit, like reorganize your room or redecorate your room, or maybe you're taking down Christmas decorations, or there's a call to do, or decorations in general, but there's a call to kind of switch things up. This is information that you are in this kind of grounding into this new identity and timeline place, okay? Often we do that when things are reorganizing within our subconscious. And so there's a deep reorganization going on internally, and there will be ways that you are also externally showing that. So some of the ways that I listed may be the ways that that may show up for you. You could also be reorganizing like maybe your computers, your computer files, or your photos as well. Like there's an organization maybe on your kind of technology as well. That could be another way that it shows up. But this is all for you to start to get comfortable within this identity and within this new jump that you made, so that you can start to move from a place of pleasure, is what I just heard. Move from a place of excitement, not from a place of having to shove or push or overextend. It feels like that is part of what was derooted, where you were overextending your energy or overgiving your energy or over focusing on things that were outside of yourself. And so I'm seeing that be cut off so that you can come back inward to yourself and come back to yourself and learn how to give yourself that energy. And one of the ways that this is being asked to happen right now, like I said, is through rest, through recalibration, through letting things kind of just reorganize. And so release any guilt or any yucky feelings about doing that right now, because that's actually what your body and system is needing. It feels like you also may have had a very vivid dream last night, or a dream that seemed weird, that maybe you have some memory of or a little bit of memory of. And I want to say that that's also information that there was like this deep unconscious kind of restructuring that was going on. Part of that dream was you closing out one timeline to open up another. And in this new timeline, it feels like you're being asked to move with pleasure. You're being asked to move with enjoyment. And we're not being asked to move in an overworking way, or in an over pushing way, but instead in a way that feels good for you. So part of this is teaching you how to start moving in alignment to your happiest and highest timeline, and how to do that on a day-to-day basis as you move through your day, moment to moment. I'm hearing something about, and this might be for only a couple people, but I'm hearing something about how there's been this resurgence of something that you've been wanting to do, but have been too afraid to do. And all of a sudden, this thought has come up recently for you again. And it feels like it's come up a couple of different times in the past as well, but you didn't always acknowledge it, or it felt like you couldn't do it, or it felt like it wasn't something that you were capable of, or it's like brand new to you, or you've never done it before. It could be one of those things. And so when it has come up in the past, you've kind of just like shoved it aside. And you've done that a couple of times. So as I'm saying this, whatever comes to your mind, that's what this is for you, okay? And so this is coming up again because this is part of your path. And this is part of you becoming. So this thing is resurfacing for you to actually listen this time, for you to actually take the leap, for you to actually try it out. And I'm hearing that this thing is going to teach you what you like and what you don't like. Okay. So it's going to teach you what you actually want to do moving forward. So there are going to be aspects of this thing that you're really going to enjoy. And then there's going to be aspects of this thing that maybe you're not going to enjoy so much, right? Pros and cons to everything. And this is part of you learning and understanding who you are meant to be. And this is part of your becoming path or becoming journey. And so the little nugget that it's going to give you about what you actually enjoy, what you actually like about this thing, what actually like feels very connected to you, is this little golden nugget that you are going to take with you into the next thing that you choose to do. So it's kind of like, I guess, like steps, I guess. It's a step in the right direction. And it's helping you to be able to see the bigger picture. But without taking those little steps and without learning those little things along the way, you can't make it to the top or see the bigger picture. Because I feel like it feels like you've gotten little nuggets in a lot of little places about like what you enjoy and what you're passionate about and what really brings you happiness. And they haven't just all made sense coming together yet. And so you're still in this process of becoming, you're still in this process of collecting the nuggets and kind of figuring out how to put them together. And whatever it is that you are meant to be is something that you are meant to create. So these little nuggets are kind of like little clues. Like I'm seeing like a scavenger hunt, right? Like they're these little clues that you're going to follow, and they're going to be exciting little clues, and they're going to feel good when you find them, and they're going to bring you to the next thing. And then they're going to bring you to the next thing, and they're going to bring you to the next thing. And so at the end of the scavenger hunt is the thing you've been looking for, the thing you've been wanting, the thing you've been waiting for. And there's little aligned action that needs to happen along the way to get there. There's this fear around vulnerability that keeps coming through. And feeling like you need to like close yourself off in certain ways or shut yourself down in certain ways or like dim your light in some ways. And part of that is because there's a fear of being seen that's coming up that's causing you to react or behave in this way. And it feels like it's kind of aligned to the thing that you have been getting information about doing, but you haven't actually done yet. It feels like this fear of being seen is kind of what is getting in the way of that a little bit. And so letting yourself be vulnerable and letting yourself play is just so important. And what I'm hearing very specifically is like, maybe you need to do that within your own space with yourself and start there. And then you can build off of that as you go. But this doesn't have to be something that you do with other people or something that you do in a large scale yet. It needs to be something that you learn to build on over time. And so how can you start to take steps towards this thing and learn this new thing and try this new thing with yourself, by yourself, to start to build comfortability and build practice towards where you're going and where you want to go, and take the lessons and learn the things that you need to learn along the way. Because, you know, when it comes to being seen, it takes practice. And so the more that you put yourself out there, the more comfortable you become with it, right? I mean, look at my videos from when I first started this channel, or when I first started posting. Hello, like, you know, night and day. But that being seen is something that you can just build on over time. And it's something that takes practice. And the more you practice, the more comfortable you get with it. And so I'm hearing very specifically, like, how can you start to practice and how can you start to dabble in this thing and let yourself play and have fun and be vulnerable with yourself, by yourself, if that's where you need to start, so that you can start moving towards understanding what this thing is supposed to teach you about yourself, what this thing is supposed to teach you about your passions, what this thing is supposed to teach you about your path moving forward. What is this supposed to, I'm seeing like the sun card. So like illuminate, that's the word. What is this trying to illuminate for you and show you, okay? And so how can you do that for yourself, with yourself, by yourself, if that's where you need to start? Putting yourself out there is a scary thing. And it being seen has many layers. So I also want to acknowledge that, like, I'm hearing, well, I already put myself out there in this way, so why is this hard, right? Like, that's kind of what's coming through. And I just want to acknowledge that, like, everything has layers, right? Everything has cycles. It's kind of like that spiral I've talked about before. But more so, I'm seeing it in relation to an onion, right? There's so many different layers. Like, yes, you felt comfortable being seen in this role, in this version of yourself doing this thing, but now that layer is gone, right? That shift we talked about earlier. And so do you feel comfortable being seen in this layer, in this role, in this way, right? And that probably is different. And it probably feels different. And it also feels like it's less rehearsed in some ways. And there's less of a backing to it in some ways. May that be less education or less skill building has happened with this layer, the onion, compared to the other layer that you've just shedded. And so how can you start to get back to that place? Can you remember a time when you were in that outer layer of the onion and you were uncomfortable, right? And then think about how you got comfortable over time. Everything is just practice and being consistent and just showing up. And the rest will start to fall into place and make sense as you go, right? What I'm hearing is the universe is going to give you what you are, right? So when you choose to start to behave and start to become that thing that you're wanting to do, then you are opening the door for you to receive the synchronicities associated, the help associated, right? I just got a message and it totally sidetracked me, but it feels relevant because it said, don't rush. So it also feels like in this new layer, you're being asked to slow down. You're being asked not to shove forward, not to push forward. I kind of talked about this a little with the full throttle. Pedal to the metal. But you're being asked to slow down, to not rush, to explore, to have fun, to figure it out as you go along, to let it happen the way that it is meant to happen. You are exactly where you are meant to be at this exact moment. You are not ahead of time and you are not behind. You are exactly where you're supposed to be right now. Trust that. And let yourself learn to flow. Let yourself learn to not rush and just enjoy the journey, enjoy the process. Enjoy the trail. Take a look at the views as you're walking through this journey. Take a look at the present moment. Let yourself have those little moments of joy and excitement. Let yourself have fun. That's what this is meant to be. It's meant to be fun. And it does feel like you're finally in a place where you're starting to let that happen more. You're starting to give more space to that. And that is what is being asked of you right now, is giving more space to that. Remember when you were a kid and all you had to do was go to school? And maybe you had other things to do outside of that, but really what you had to do was go to school. I'm talking when you were young. And you would sit in your room and you would sit in the beanbag chair and you color, or you draw, right? Or you'd, I don't know, could go outside and play. Everybody did different things, right? You're being asked to reconnect in that way with yourself and let yourself just enjoy. Let yourself just relax. Let yourself just have fun. Let yourself explore. Let yourself move slowly through this. This is not meant to be a time to rush. This is the space before everything comes in. And so what you do in this time can either prolong this or it can shorten it. And so if you try to push through, if you pedal it to the metal, then you are going to be in this space for a lot longer. Because right now you are being asked to learn to be okay in the silence, learn to be okay in the surrender, and learn to just let your life move in a dance. I kind of talked about this a little bit last time, but it's about learning how to dance, learning how to move with life, learning how to listen to your body, and learning how to move with your energy levels physically as well. It's about finding peace in this moment and peace right now and letting go of the other things. And things will only get easier the more that you're able to do that. And that also opens you up to so many more things. As you're pushing and shoving and thrashing through and having a tantrum, right? We close off that flow to miracles. As we let things be, as we learn to move slowly, as we learn to let go, as we learn to trust, we reopen that. And we are able to see them on a daily basis. We're able to experience them regularly. But if you choose to continue to push forward in this toxic masculine energy or sit in your divine feminine energy, the choice is yours. And that is going to determine how long you stay in this threshold space for. Because they're not going to bring in your new beginnings until you are able to hold them. And so when you are able to hold your divine feminine energy and hold the stillness and hold the trust and hold the surrender and move with enjoyment and passion and love, that is when the floodgates will open. I do want to share that I did make this. It says beware unprotected, and it's got my dragon spirit guide on it. And on the back, let me see if I can pull it up. On the back, it says, don't make me call my dragon. All right. If you like it, I have a link in my Etsy, in the link tree. And I love you so, so much. And you got this. Keep going.